Yo, yo, what is up, everyone? It is it is your friendly neighborhood physical therapist, Dr. Ryan Welton, coming to you from just outside the Tampa Bay area. If you are new to following me, I got a clinic where I call it the I've failed everything clinic. Like people come in here all the time, like my last eval, and said, I've failed everything. Nobody knows what's wrong with me, that kind of thing, right? I get exceptional results in that patient population. Um, and I generally don't worry about this patient population, the I failed everything patient population, I call it. I developed methods and protocols. I published papers that have statistically made medical history, getting multiple times even the biggest, not just the orthopedic journals, but the biggest journals in the world in medicine, getting 3 to 5 years post publication. I put a graphic right at the top of my social media channels, Welton Methods, that you can look at. And people all over the world now are using that. I think pretty much every continent that I know of, I've heard people from, except for Antarctica. Nobody in that far south. So I teach. I actually, if you join my school group right here, I teach my clinical mentorship where you get 59% off all of my courses, and I also teach live weekly, live with live Q&A. Okay, and then I have my cash-based clinical hybrid clinical cash-based mentorship where I teach you both. I have a really successful cash-based clinic model, very different from everybody else's. It's a results-based clinic. I teach you the clinical results. We don't do sales tactics. If you are not a natural salesperson like me, then people see through it. Like you can't, you can't do that. Okay, but some people can, but patients see right through it. I'm not a natural salesperson, so I let my clinical results drive revenue, not like things fancy ways of manipulating their brain, you know? So anyways, click the school group below, join my free VIP link. I'm actually teaching in there too as well, and go much more in depth into the stuff. Okay, ready? So my last patient, my last eval came in. She has had pain since 2010. She told me. She had what she called, and what she told me they called, a failed back surgery. She had her L5S1 fused and a laminectomy that she felt no relief from. And so then she said that she did physical therapy, chiropractic, she's on oxycodone, and she's been injected countless times, she said, right? She said, I can't sleep, I can't lay on my side, I can't sit on certain surfaces, can't stand up. After sitting for long periods of time, it's very hard to wake up in the morning, stand for long periods of time, walk for long periods of time. And now, when I learned about SI joint dysfunction in school, okay, I learned about the fact that the people point literally to their SI joint, just on the side, right here. You know, that's where they point. That's where their SI joint hurts. Now, it wasn't, so I opened my own private practice in 2009, right? And, I would treat SI joint here and there, and I wasn't worried about it. I published, a statistically historic paper called Root Cause of SI Joint Dysfunction. You can find it at weltonmethods.com or click the school group link right there. I posted it, all my papers. And anyways, so, I wasn't worried about it. I had, to me, in my brain, I had figured it out in terms of what was causing it in my patients. So I would rehab my SI joint low back pain patients, and that was that, right? But over the years, I would see these people that had this chronic, like severe debilitating pain. And a lot of them had been to the most prestigious hospitals in the US. They were given psychiatric medication. They told me if nothing showed up on an X-ray and MRI, but they were like totally debilitated. Like they were like they could barely walk, right? And the main things I hear from these patients is I can't roll over in bed. Okay, why does that happen? You can't roll over in bed because if you're see these jagged edges right here? If they're shearing, it's like the worst case of arthritis. Not that they have arthritis in their SI joint, but it's bone on bone, right? So they can't roll over in bed because they're just shearing it, right? I can't sit on certain surfaces. What I find with the upslip and outflare, if you read my SI sacral papers, is that it's I rarely see and hear SI joint without a sacral torsion. But when the sacrum torsions, they get a sacral shearing pain at the base of their spine. SI joint can cause pain in sitting if it's misaligned, but so can a sacral shear. Okay, so they can't roll over in bed, can't lay on their side because they're laying on shearing bone pain. Can't sit on certain surfaces, and it hurts to wake up in the morning until they get going. Why? Is because when you sleep, you get locked down out of alignment, right? So it's like that, right? It's the same thing that like you wake up in the morning, you bend over in the shower, can't touch your knees, but by the end of the day, you didn't even stretch your hamstrings, you could touch your ankles. Well, the same concept happens when you sleep like that, right? And then it takes them a while to get going, right? They can't extend back, can't bend forward. It's a living hell what these people go through, and I started seeing it years into it. I would see it every once in a while, and then I started seeing it like constantly. And I'm like, a lot of them would be like, yeah, they told me it was in my head, but like the longer we do this thing, this rehab thing, you can tell, like when someone is making it up, right? I mean, workman's comp or something or whatever, right? But like, I'm a pretty good judge of character, I would say. I'm pretty intuitive. And I'm looking at these people, I'm like, these people aren't lying. These people are in pain. Like, what? So I started looking. And I'm like, man, I'm like, wow, SI joint dysfunction is causing this level of disability in our society. Like, wow, Now it generally doesn't show up on X-rays and MRIs, SI joint sacral torsion shear. I have looked at CTs and X-rays of someone with SI joint dysfunction that their SI joint was so far out of alignment. And I walk over the computer and I look at their CT or X-ray, and I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see it on there. But I walk over and I have them extend back, and my thumb translates superiorly, not inferiorly, like it should. And I'm like, yeah, they have a massive upslip going on here, and they got the outflares going on. How do I know that? It's because after I realign the upslip, you got to get that first. I open up the outflares, hold it open, and if they extend back or whatever the aggravating motion was, and their pain goes away, that's what was causing their pain. You realigned it, their pain went away. It was a mechanical issue, right? So I started seeing these patients in here, and I'm like, what is happening, right? And that's when I wrote first I wrote my SI joint paper, and then I was trying to convey to my colleagues about the level of disability and what these people go through when they get missed in these regular old clinics. People just aren't looking for this, right? Or using my evaluation methods, which are free. You have no excuse. These things went viral, literally made medical history statistically. And go to my website or click that school group link, join my school group. I posted it right there. All my published protocols, all that stuff. So I started seeing these people in here, and I'm like, I need to get this out to my colleagues that this is causing this level of disability. And most of these people will tell me, oh, I've failed everything story. I've tried physical therapy, chiropractic, injection, surgery, orthopedic surgeon, neurosurgeon, X-ray, MRI, massage, acupuncture, repeat. That's what I call the story. I hear it all day long, including I just heard it. And I'm like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, so I hear from people that they don't want to live anymore with it. They tell me, breakdown sobbing, like it's awful what I hear in here, right? Anyways, so I ended up writing a paper called Root Cause of Sacral Torsion Shear, Anterior Sacral Tilt. Click the school group below. and you can grab it, join my VIP group. Okay, it's free. And so I started looking, I wanted to get it out to my colleagues, what was happening, right? So I wrote that paper, sacral torsion shear, root cause of it, with a streamlined evaluation process. And I put in there the 19 cases that I documented. I put in there that 57% of my patients in there that I documented had thought about that. And now, in a medical paper, you cannot state something that you don't have the evidence to back it up with. But the national VAT rate for chronic pain, I believe I wrote it in there, was like 50%, right? Most people have low back pain statistically, right? I couldn't state it in that paper because you're not allowed to, right? But what I did say was I put it like right next to each other, like the national, you know what rate is around 50%, and in this, or 40%, something like that. In this study with sacral torsion and SI joint, that 57% of my patients that I asked, of the 19 cases I evaluated or detailed in that paper, had thought about that, right? And I'm like, so I couldn't say it, so I said it without saying it. And I'm trying to get people to see that of what I'm seeing in here. Now, not only do I was talking to somebody the other day on the phone that wants to open up one of my my methods. Two people actually. One of them is opening up one of my business model here based on the chronic pain world, where they just use my protocols. But and my other methods. But so two people in the last like couple weeks are like, no, Ryan, I'm seeing the same thing you are in here, and they told me that that you have that I think that SI joint sacral torsion shear is the most common cause of back pain, they said. And I said, in my practice, I have a chronic low back pain practice, and I see it all day long. To the point, my last eval that I was telling you about, the failed physical therapy chiropractic, had a quote unquote what she called a failed back surgery, is what they told her it was. They fused L5S1, laminectomy, and had no relief, and injections and meds and all that stuff. And I said, I think I know what's wrong with you, before I even touched her. And the reason why I said I think I know what's wrong with you is because I've been doing this so long that, and sitting across from these people, is when I hear that story, I'm like, it's got to be mechanical. It doesn't show up on x-rays and MRIs. They've tried everything else, you know? So anyways, my point in saying that is, I will scream about this until I don't have a heartbeat anymore, is because I'm trying to save these people. Like, we have Save the Whales, right? Save the Earth, you know? How about save the mechanical back pain patients, you know? I might put a bumper sticker on my car, save the mechanical back pain patients, or send you all one, you know? Like, we have awareness month for everything, like awareness for headaches, awareness for cancer, whatever. How about these people? One of the leading causes of disability I think it might be the leading cause, is low back pain. I got a chronic low back pain clinic, and I treat SI joint sacral torsion shear all day long. And I publish papers, and I depict it in there. I showed you in that chart, read it, click my school group below, join it, it's free. I publish it, read my SI paper and sacral paper, and I wrote, this person tried X, Y, Z, nothing helped. Boom, I put them on my protocol, boom, they're better, you know? And this person, this person, this person, this person. And I did that on purpose. And I wanted people to see all of these, what I'm seeing in here all day long, is that all of these people that have failed all these things, you need to screen for this. And I show you the diagnostic methods to do it. And now my colleagues are starting to say what I believe to be true after doing this for such a long period of time with these people, is that when I get on the phone with them and talk to them, they sign up for my business course or whatever, and they're like, yeah, no, I believe that this is the leading cause of low back pain, SI joint. People think that it just hurts over their SI joint. It doesn't. Now, if you Google it, it'll show you some variation of that unilaterally if you have SI joint, right? But what if you have it bilaterally? Then you have pain all across your back, right? I mean, it's documented that way. right? But when someone has pain all across their back, we focus on herniated discs, right? I've had a herniated disc. They're horrible. Pain down my leg. But you could also, this lady that I just evaluated also had pain down her leg, okay? But she didn't have it today, but most of the time they do. And I can just open up their SI joint, realign it, boom, goes away. Tells me it's not sciatica. It's a great imitator of sciatica, which is SI joint, okay? And but I can relieve that immediately just realigning their SI joint, and it tells me exactly what that was. Now, so these people have usually tried everything, but they'll find a herniated disc, and and that becomes the focus. They tell me, is that the herniated disc, and I'm like, I'm looking for mechanical issues in here all day long, okay, because most of my patients have seen everybody type stories, like they tell me, like, oh, I've seen everybody, nobody knows, like this patient, nobody knows what's wrong with me. I've had chronic pain for 15 years, can't sit, can't stand up, can't roll over in bed, can't sleep, I mean, it's like, yeah, like it's crazy, So, anyways, we need to save the mechanical back pain patients just like we need to save the whales. Okay? These people are freaking screwed. And if you follow me, and if you are tired of hearing me talk about this, you could just unfollow me and make sure you're getting all of your low back pain patients better. But this is something that I publish for free, and I'm trying to get it out to my peers because of the level of disability that this causes. If you ever saw what happens, if you don't screen these people, if you ever saw what happens to these people, it's insane. It's insane what happens to these people. Your heart will break for them. So if you want to if you're not an entrepreneurial mind and you want to learn to get exceptional results that I teach, that I publish, I show in those journal articles, exceptional results with those cases, I have a whole course that I do in my clinic to get exceptional results. This is how I get exceptional results in the failed everything population. If you want to learn that, I have my clinical mentorship, click the school group below, join it, it's free. And you can do that. Now, I also have to me, I believe it's the first ever, it's a hybrid course for clinical and business mentorship, where people asked me for years to help them open and run one of these clinics I have. It's very different. It's not your average patient in here. In fact, I don't have competition, and I don't say that like some kind of egotistical thing. I have people that I've taught to open these businesses, and they say they don't have competition. Why? Because we deal with the people that no one knows what to do about type thing. So like I refer out to physical therapists all day long. Something simple walks in here, like an ankle sprain or whatever. I'm like, go see this therapist, use your insurance, whatever. But in this business model, we charge $400 for 30 minutes of our time, but we are exceptional clinicians. And people that go, nobody's going to go outside their insurance. There are conditions that are devastating, and they are looking for people that have invested time and effort to figure out what was wrong with them. And they will pay you out of pocket, and they will pay you a premium, because it's just like going to a good surgeon or going to a good lawyer, Anyways, that's that. Join my group below. Peace. Love you all.